Coach D.
I thought I'd come from distance.
So I love it, man.
Because it's dramatic effect on my shirt. See?
Are you rolling up on us, bro?
There. Woo! Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vested. We are here to inspire, create, and empower. Jamar, how are you, my man?
Awesome. Coach D, how are you doing, man? Vested?
We're here again. We're doing it again.
We're here.
We're going to do it again next week. And we did it last week. So
Come on. Man, I'm excited.
Okay. I got to be vulnerable, right? We're going to be totally open.
Yep.
When our guest came on and I found out who he was and what he did, I was extremely excited to, start thinking about things and pull up videos. And then he said that he wanted to talk about adversity and perseverance. And I was like, that's such a general concept. And I was like, how am I going to go in there and be all pumped up about this? And it's like, I think a lot of times what happens is when you have something that's such a big deal, when you're dealing with adversity to victory or recovery or whatever it is that you're aiming at, that if it's this broadband concept, we get lumped into this thing, oh yeah, well, everybody goes through it, but like it's so real for every individual. And tonight our guest, Jamar, went through some very real influential things in his life and had to deal with some inner demons, and he didn't turn it into recovering and just, making things work out. This guy's an extraordinarily successful individual. And he did it over to, he overcame a bunch of odds. I'm sitting here talking about him like he's not, like he's my friend. He's your friend. Why don't you tell us
Oh, man. Coach D, remember, my friends are your friends, man, and vice versa. And just like how the universe brought you and I together via the amazing Toastmasters organization 6 years ago, the same organization brought my brother Tim and I together, and we embarked on a genuine friendship, man. And what I appreciate and really honor the most about this gentleman is his heart and his spirit to help other people. And when you're around other people who have that vibration, who really want to help other people, man, it's a powerful frequency. So for me, that's what connected me to Tim and just the like I said, the genuine friendship that we've created over the last 6 years. And I look at him as one of the people in my life that I have an utmost respect for, and I look up to him, and I appreciate his encouragement in my life. And, he's here to talk to us about things that he experienced in his life that was really a lot of adversity that led to victory. And, we're here to talk to him, man. So let's bring him in.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah. Everybody, Timothy Maguire, our guest for this evening.
Hey, T Money. What's up?
How you doing, guys? Thanks a lot for having me here. It's great to be here. I'm honored that you asked me to be on the show.
Oh, man.
Adversity Destroyer. I like that.
All right, Tim, you got Coach D. Once again, Tim.
Coach D.
I was about to tell him, I was like, just so you know, I kind of threw under the bus, basically saying that we're working on a very general open-ended situation. Adversity leading to victory. But I think what makes it unique is the individual and how you approached it. So
right,
we're talking about an extraordinarily successful individual here, but it came from somewhere. And that's what we'd like to talk to you about tonight, my friends. So what do you think? Should we bring the banner down, start inspiring right away?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go right into it. Look up. It's a bird. It's a plane. It is.
Okay, so talk to me about where it all started. Inspiration for you started in a family of what and where and how? Let's hear it, my friend.
Well, first I have to say that I'm a blessed man because I have an amazing wife. I've been married 9 years. I have 3 beautiful kids. They're healthy and they're happy. And it started in Philadelphia. Great upbringing. I have 2 amazing parents, or I should say I have 1 amazing parent living. My mother left us about a year ago, but my mother was a saint. She was a faithful woman and a big inspiration in my life. My father was a very hard worker, very supportive and loving of all of us. I'm one of 9 children. And growing up, I was a lot like Forrest Gump. I had the leg braces that Forrest used to wear in the movie, and I had ADHD. And because of the ADHD, I struggled in school. But as I got into my teenage years, I discovered sports, and sports gave me confidence. And I played all kinds of sports: football, basketball, baseball. My father had a rule in our family that we had to play sports every season. And he didn't want 9 kids coming home from school hanging out at the house. So we had to play a lot of sports. We were very competitive. And my father had a rule also that if we misbehaved, we had to go out and run with him. And you couldn't stop. If you stopped, he would grab you by the back of the shorts and kind of pull you along and say, "Come on, God damn it. I want you to finish." So he believed in a little bit of tough love, and he was great because we needed that encouragement. And as I went on to high school, I was an athlete, started hanging out with the athletes, the cool crowd, playing varsity sports. And of course, hanging out with the cool crowd, you start going out to parties and drinking. And then I went to college, and the drinking continued. And eventually the drinking got out of hand, and my life really started to spiral out of control. By the time I was 23 years old, my weight ballooned to 225 pounds, and I was getting into trouble. I got arrested 3 times for drinking and driving. I flunked out of college 3 times. And one day I woke up in bed with my brother Chris, and I was wondering why my brother Chris was in bed with me. And turns out the night before, I told my brother Chris that I wanted to kill myself because I was so depressed. I had hit rock bottom, and I just was in complete despair, and I had lost hope for life. So it wasn't long after that my father called me up, and he said, "I'd like you to come over to the house for dinner." And I didn't know what was going on, but I went over to the house, and my entire family was sitting around the dinner table, and a licensed interventionist was there, and they held a family intervention. And they started going around the table, and everyone started to communicate why they thought I should go to rehab and get help. And I had my reasons, why I didn't need to do that, and tried to overcome everyone, over every objection. And then it got to my father, and my father said, "Okay, well, listen, if you don't want to go to rehab, you can't come work for me in the family insurance business because I can't have an alcoholic come work for me." And I knew at that time that was my dream, was to go work for my father. So I knew that I had really only one decision, and that was to go to rehab.
Okay,
And,
skirt. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna do Jamar every single time. You're moving.
Hey, Coach, he's gonna pull him back. Pull him back.
Okay, so listen, this is what we have a tendency of people to get on this show, and we explain that the vulnerability is the issue. But when you're dealing with superstars that overcome adversity and turn it into victory, you just brush over the idea that leg braces and ADHD. I had my kids, this and that, and I just so I drank. You know what I mean? No, man, let's back up. Okay, so I want to know how all of that you just explained to me in a family where you could very easily get passed over upon, and a dad that seemed like he was extraordinarily, I don't want to say demanding, but he sounded like his expectations were high, and he was successful himself, and he wanted to instill that in his family. So I can understand how that might have gone, especially in such a large family. So I want to go back to the star athlete that found his way into varsity sports, and you're starting to get a little swagger going. And I want to know what moves this super successful person emotionally into something that's going to get you away from your dream. What were you feeling on the inside to the point where partying turned into an escape or more important than what your goals were? Because a lot of us are going through this. We got to understand that it's tough, and we got to make that decision. But before that happens, what were you dealing with? What were those emotions?
Well, I think that my belief is I believe that alcoholism is a disease. I believe it's hereditary and we have it in the family. And I think that with some people, it will hit you hard at certain times in your life. And some people, it takes a while for them to develop the disease. So I don't know that it was anything that was happening in my life, because I don't mind being completely open with you and telling you how it went down. With me, the way it went down was I was 11 years old the first time that I got drunk. And I remember the day and the event. It was my grandmother's 70th birthday party, and I was sneaking around with my cousins drinking beer, and I got drunk for the first time. And I was the type of person, when I drank, I got drunk. And that's just how it was for me. Now, some people say that it's a disease and it's hereditary and it runs in the family. I believe that, but I also believe that I was recently diagnosed with ADHD when we discovered that my son had ADHD. So I went on this journey to learn a lot about ADHD. And what I discovered is untreated ADHD, people that have ADHD and that have not been treated are 3 times more likely to develop an addiction in their life. And I think that that could have played a role. But I think that it's hereditary as well, because I think that our family has been hit hard with addiction. It seems to run through our family. And I don't think addiction discriminates between race, class, whatever. I think that addiction hits all types of backgrounds, and it certainly hit our family hard, and we've paid the price. There's been other people in our family that have really paid the price for it. But I feel blessed because at least I have the support of my family to pick me up and help me get through it. Some people don't have that family support system.
Wow, man.
Before we get into create, I want to take a look at the mechanism real quick, because the mechanism of addiction was there and it still is. But what you learned to do was flip the coin over and trade it in for more value. So I want to get into, because we're going to talk about this mechanism on the other end of this when we get into create and empower. But this mechanism, before you figured out how to use it, before you figured out how to apply that, I don't want to call it obsessive mind, and it was kind of running wild. What were the emotions that like made it so difficult? Because a lot of people are probably trying to figure out their self right now and how to direct themselves and to find inspiration in doing that. But it's not inspirational when you feel like a wild man that can't get things together. And yeah, you're good at sports and school and your family's successful, but there's this internal feeling that for whatever reason continues to push you in this direction as opposed to this. So I want you to talk a little bit about that feeling, because in create, what we're going to do is we're going to flip that feeling over and we're going to apply it to an incredible successful career and even athletically what you got out of your body. So let's talk about the ugly side of that feeling just a little bit. What brought you to continue down that road?
Well, I think it's a slippery slope. I think it's really difficult to explain to someone who has not experienced it, because you're helpless. You're completely helpless. You don't want to do the things that you're doing. You know that you're causing harm to your body and to your mind, and you're not happy with the situation at all, but you're helpless. It's a disease. You keep doing things that are that's why they say alcoholics are crazy, because you do things that you know are not good for your body, that are going to get you the same result. You're going to wake up, you're going to be hungover, you can't function and work. It's like they say, a cunning, baffling disease. It's difficult to understand, and even when you're in it, it's very, very frustrating, because it feels like you're on a treadmill that you can't get off of, and you're really hopeless. And that's why so many people get stuck in that rut and they can't get out of it. And I think with, obviously there's alcoholism and there's drug addiction. And I think that, the earlier you can jump off that treadmill and get some help, the better off you're going to be. If you're in an addiction for a longer period of time, it's much more difficult to recover. But there's always hope. And I think that, again, with people that have a family support system, then they're more likely to be able to recover. But it's difficult to explain, Coach D. It's really something that unless you experience it, you really don't. It's tough for people to know, but it's a crazy disease. You're doing things that don't make sense to a normal person, and you don't feel good about it. And that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. I got a question here, because you just said something that's very powerful. You said the earlier we can get the help, the better. And I know Coach D is really trying to extract that, the deep roots in your heart of the emotional impact of all this. But I want to touch on your family really quick. And how many people are in your family, T?
There's 9 kids.
So there's 9.
We lost my brother many years ago, but we say there's 9 kids. There's 8 living. Okay,
so 9 kids, mom and dad, so a house of 11, and you're there, and they're having this intervention to really save your life. And we've all seen either heard of the show Intervention or seen it, at one time or another. And you see the setup when the family comes in and they really are trying to support and care for that individual, and they do the round table. And it's not always a welcoming experience. And some people storm off, like you said, give reasons of why they don't need to be in the intervention. But you got help early. What do you think would have happened? Where would you be today? Where would you think you would be today if you didn't have the inspiration from your family at that time who came in to offer you the help?
Well, that's a good question, because I get chills when you ask me that question, because you walk by a guy on the street that's homeless, and that could have been me. Very easily could have been me, because I was that low. And when you get to a point where you just don't care, then you could end up on the street, you could end up dead. And I think that's what happens with people. People drink themselves into a situation where they end up homeless, they end up crashing their car, or making another mistake, and their life ends at an early age. And my father always said to us there, but for the grace of God, go I. And I think that maybe that's why I'm very grateful for everything that I have today, and where I am, and my life and my family, because it was really a near-death situation for me. I mean, I was 225 pounds. I was going, I went to jail for just a short period of time for drinking and driving, but things like that. If I made a mistake that night and killed someone, I could have been in jail for many years. So I guess, where could I have been? I could have been anywhere. I could be dead. I could be in jail. I could be on the street. And because I'm sitting here in front of you, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have a family. I've achieved things that are beyond my dreams, because I never thought that I would be able to do all these things, especially when I was living that life. And so to be here today and be in good health and make the comeback that I did make, it feels good. I'm certainly grateful.
Wow.
All right. We got to move on to create, because that's where we're at with this. I got some questions. We got to do it. We got to do it now. I have ADD, man. We got to do this.
Let's go.
I gotta wait. I'm not gonna wait. Okay.
Oh, we got a fastball coming.
I know a little more about family, man. When I hear 8 kids and I hear alcoholism and I hear that it's in your family, my energy's telling me that there's pressure there. Whether it's felt or unfelt, I'm thinking that you had a very driven father that could provide for a family that large, and he didn't just provide; he absolutely smashed it. So, talk to me about your relationship with your father, and then how it was growing up with mom and dad in the house. I mean, this all comes from somewhere, man.
Happy to talk about that. Like I said, my mother was a complete saint, just the most amazing person. Jamar met her, and she was really an awesome person. She really could be a saint. She was just so loving and giving to everyone. It didn't matter who you were. She would stop the meter man on the street and give him a hug. So that's the type of mother I had. My father was very driven man. He was very competitive, hard-charging guy, but extremely loving, supportive, and encouraging. And he was the type of guy that, and he still is because he's 87 today, and he still works out 3 times a week, and he's in good health. He's of sound mind, and he's my hero today. He's a great man. But he's the type of person that would believe in you so much that even when you didn't believe in yourself, he believed in you so much that that was enough to get you, through it. And whether it was the challenge that I was having when I was drinking, because he was the main driver of getting me through that situation in my life. Without him, he literally saved my life. And I'll tell you a story about him. When I went to rehab, my parents came into rehab for Family Day, and we were all sitting in a circle, and my parents were asked to share. The counselor asked my father to share how me going through this situation affected them. And my father started to talk, and he got so choked up that he broke down in tears. And he said, while he was crying, he said, he just has so much potential. If he could see what I see in him, he wouldn't be doing this to himself. And, that was 30 years ago. And I remember that today. And that's my father. He may have been a hard charger, and he challenged us a lot, to be our best, but he also believed in us, and he encouraged us, and he picked us up when we were down, and the type of father that never missed a sporting event. So, I think that I don't have any hard feelings, certainly, about my parents. They were great parents.
Hold on, no hard feelings. But I think I should share with the community why everybody calls me Coach D. Like, I like to kind of hide in the shadows.
Come on, Coach D.
I've gotten a master's in, you could call it executive coaching, but I have changed the name. I call it a belief strategist. And you just use that word belief with your dad. You said that he believed in you so much that was enough. But one of the things that at my very core, I literally radiate this process called the I am we are process. And there are 2 people involved in this loop process. And sometimes when dad has that much faith, when has that much confidence, there is an unsaid pressure that you have to deal with, whether you're aware of it or not. And as much as he loves you, and I'm sure it all came from love, that's a lot of pressure, man. And Pops is driven and he's successful and he wants the best for you. So where I'm really going with this is that when you're in the situation, at some point, as much faith as he had in you, you had to make a decision, dude. Mm-hmm. You had to decide that I have faith in myself, so much so that I'm going to utilize the resource of this family, and I'm going to dig myself out of the hole that I got myself in. So the reason I was poking at you, because I wanted to know the mechanism in the beginning, is because it's the same mechanism, dude, that you use to get yourself out. Now, I want you to talk to the Vested community about that switch. When you were there and all of a sudden it wasn't dad, because you knew dad loved you, okay, the whole time. And it wasn't when he broke down and cried when you guys were in rehab. At some point, you made a decision. Now, talk to me about the energy that is an ultra successful Iron Man that is uber successful in business. Now, where did that
come on, T? Tell them how you went beast mode, baby.
Well, I guess, I went to rehab, and that was an experience that I'll never forget. I was in this rehab with people that were court ordered to go to this rehab. And I remember my roommate was a janitor from Newark, New Jersey, heroin addict. And I formed a little running group in the rehab, and we would run around the rehab grounds. And one of the guys that was in our running group actually robbed a bank, and he was a crack dealer down in Philadelphia. And nice guys in the rehab, they were all nice to me, but these were the guys that I was in rehab with, and I knew there was more I could do in my life. I didn't want to be in a situation like this. And I think you do things sometimes because you have so much pain in your life, and the pain causes the change. And for me, I had so much pain when I went through that experience that I never wanted to have that pain again. And it was real. I still remember it today. And I think that was the driving force for me, was the pain. I knew I had dreams in my life. I wanted to be in business with my father. I had dreams that I could do more with the sports, but I didn't really have an Ironman dream at that time. But I did have dreams that I wanted to be successful in business. And I knew that I would never be successful if I continued down that road. And then when I was in the rehab facility with all these other people that were from different backgrounds, and I was not, a guy that was, I had a drinking problem, but I wasn't robbing banks, and I wasn't, getting into trouble like some of the people in the rehab facility were. So when I was put into that situation, it made me realize that I better shape up. Otherwise, my future was, not going to be looking too good.
Wow. Well, Coach D, I want to touch on this really quick too, because we've been talking about how Tim has gone through this low growth aspect of the adversity in the beginning. But then, T, I wanted us to really highlight. I know you're extremely humble, and I appreciate that. But I really want us to talk about how much you invested in your effort to build the family business. What happened with the family business? Let's talk about the foundation you started. Let's talk about how many full and half Ironmans. What is an Ironman? And how successful you are as a family man, as a husband, as an amazing father, because everything we've talked about was the beginning adversities of life, but it set this foundation, which was like a launch pad for all the victory that you had after that. So just take us real quick through the business. What about Philly Insurance and what happened? How did you guys sell that? And what did you from there? And about the organizations you started and who you support and what you've done. Talk to us, man.
So Philadelphia Insurance, I think, it came down to the team that we hired. We had a great team, and I have to give credit where the credit is due. I think in business, you're only as good as your people, and we hired a great team, and we had a great plan. And, that was, our business was selling insurance to the nonprofit sector. And we had great people that, really executed well. But there was a lot of learning experience in business. In the beginning, I pretty much failed as a manager, and I realized that I needed to become more of a servant leader. And it took some learning experience along the way that was painful. I had to go to a Dale Carnegie class and learn about what was the most important thing to running a business. And I discovered that, I didn't really know a lot about management when I first started in the business. And that was an eye-opening experience for me.
Hey, Tim,
So,
hey, can we jump in real quick? We had a quick question that before we get into the business, as you're getting into your recovery, DW threw out there, was there anything as you're trying to get sober related to your ADHD that kind of pushed you into like a depressive state, or like, how about your brother's passing? Was there anything related to ADHD or addiction with that situation?
no, my brother actually passed away early in his life. So that was not something that was, that was early. He was less than 1 year old. So that didn't have really a big impact on my life. And the ADHD was something that I did not really figure out until I was 54 years old. So that was something that, I didn't really know about when I was a child. I was diagnosed, and I think a lot of people that are older are not diagnosed until they discover that their child has ADHD, and that's what happened to me.
Okay. So there were things that you were dealing with and going through that you might not even been aware of, and not only that, you no longer have the medication of alcohol to be able to help you out. So now, as we get into this whole like unfolding process, and you're learning how to become a manager, and it's not easy, and you're not right away good at it. Like, where do you go from there?
Well, so what I did was I got a few people in the office that were people that I could trust, and we developed a committee, and we determined that we were only going to hire the best people in our office, because I had made some missteps early on, hired a bad group of people, and we were in a situation where we were struggling, frankly. And so I got a committee together of people that I trusted, and we made a pact that we were only going to hire the best people in our office. And we created a process for interviewing people and how we were going to recruit A players. And once we formed this committee of 3 people, there was a guy and a girl, and we got very selective about who we brought onto the team. And once we started hiring A players, and it was a big change in our workplace. So it was a process that we put in place to only recruit the best people. And I think that, again, getting the best people in your business is so important. And that's what we really focused on. And we did that throughout the entire company. We hired athletes and people that were high achievers all throughout the business. And a lot of the people were young college kids at the time. That was, we focused on young college kids. We would go out to the career fairs and recruit college kids and bring them in and train them on our way of doing business. And we had a very disciplined process of how we sold insurance. We were a company that we sold directly to the prospects. We sold through agents, and we sold through wholesalers. We sold online. So we had a lot of channels of distribution. We tried to have the best products in the industry, and we focused on underwriting the best risks. So in the insurance industry, you want to have a low loss ratio, and we always try to have what was called a combined ratio of 90% or better. And if you're making 90 cents on the dollar, you have 10 points of profit plus any money that you make on the investments. So we I guess in summary, we had a very successful underwriting process, and the balance sheet was very conservative. We never had any debt, and we were growing the top line by 20% year over year. And because we were so successful as an underwriting company, in 2008, we received an offer from a company called Tokyo Marine to buy our company for $4.7 billion, which
you say B is in billion, right?
Hello.
He says it like so, like, oh yeah, just so you know.
This is what superstars do. We go for no, we can't do it anymore. We gotta stop here. We gotta go to empowerment. We dropped Mike 4 billion. Let's go to empowerment.
Yeah, come on, man, come on, because we gotta empower somebody.
So, but we had a great culture of was not just it was hard charging all around. We were an aggressive sales organization. We believed in giving back to the community. So we became the biggest underwriter for nonprofit agencies in the country. And since we were a big underwriter of nonprofit agencies in the country, we started to give back to all the nonprofits. And we created a volunteer initiative where we would go out and volunteer at the nonprofits each quarter and serve meals, go to the senior center and help the senior citizens, go to Challenged Athletes Foundation and work the triathlon events. So we did a number of charitable events all around the country each quarter. And then we also developed we were an organization that was really committed to fitness, and we insured Ironman North America. And that kind of got us into doing the Ironman events. And with
tech team, this is all empowering. This is empowering.
Yeah, let's go, because we're about to move to some empowering.
Tech team, come on. Goodness, man. You're blowing everybody away. This is what we build to this, dude.
That's good. Keep going.
Yep.
So so we started insuring Ironman North America, and with the after we started insuring them, we became a sponsor of Ironman North America, and as the sponsor, we were given Ironman slots to the half Ironman events and the Ironman events, and we had all these slots. So my brother, who was the CEO, decided, let's give these slots out to our employees, and we'll create a triathlon team at Philly Insurance. And we did that, and we all started to go out and participate in the triathlon events. So that's kind of what started the Ironmans and half Ironmans. And so we all started to go out and compete together, and it created a great culture.
So let's go back to rehab just real quick, because I got one more little fastball for you, and then I'll kick it over to Jamar. Okay. So you had this experience with your dad, and obviously it was moving enough that you chose to bring it up. And not only that, your dad had a significant impression on your life. So I would imagine that once you decided to take the reins and move forward and do this, it was a big move, not only for your family, but for you personally. So yeah, there's the Ironman thing going on and everything else, but take me from when you decided to teach a Philadelphia crack dealer how to run faster, okay, into something that is an action step towards ultimate success. Because I know there's this, like, you're doing, you don't know, and then finally you start to fall into this rhythm where you might not know, because we're all doing this right now, this 2020 rebound, and where are we going now, and jobs and money and this and that. At what point were you like, oh, okay, now I got it. I'm in this limbo, and we're trying to figure it out, but there's the rhythm, there's the groove. And because from what I can gather, it wasn't comfortable. You're saying you're going to these Carnegie classes and you're learning how to be a manager, and you're looking at yourself going, oh, I'm not that good. Like, this sucks. So how did you overcome that hurdle to thrust into greatness, man?
I think the best answer to that is repetition. I had some really good mentors at the business, and specifically my cousin, Sean. He was my boss and my mentor. And actually, business is a lot like sports. So if I had some success in sports, and business really is a lot like sports. So in our business, we had really clear goals. And in sales, for example, we had a focus on the nonprofit sector. And my area was Southern California. And there was only so many nonprofits in Southern California. So my job was to get the list of nonprofits and make 90 outbound calls Mondays and Fridays, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I had to set up 12 appointments for those 3 days to go out and see those nonprofits. And if I didn't do that, I would frankly get crushed at the end of the week. So it was a real clear process, and it was easy. We had a template, a script, and we had to make the calls, set up the appointments, and go out and go on the appointments and try to get applications for insurance. And at the end of the week, you turned in a report that showed that you did what you were supposed to do. And you do that week in, week out, week in, week out. And it's the repetition starts to it becomes second nature. You start to do it every week and it becomes your life. And I did that for 20 years. And, you start to add on other products, health and fitness, schools, daycares. And that was what we did at our business. And I think that's what made us different. No other company had that type of precision in their operating, in the operations of the company that I know of. I think that we were different from that standpoint. And so I think that that's the repetition it's just like sports. When you go out and you practice and you practice and you practice, that's how you get better. And that's what we did in business.
Hey, Jamar, there's a faith question in there, baby. You got to get with it.
Well, I got a question because, the whole message here is, like Coach D said, yes, it's a broader spectrum of how adversity leads to victory. In the world we're in today, everyone is going through some aspect of adversity in some area of their life. And I truly believe that things don't happen to us, they happen for us. But everything that's happened to you, it actually happened for you. How would you, in just a nutshell, say the adversity that you experience has led you to the victories in your life, even whether it's from the business, from your family, from crushing how many races have you done, full and half Ironman races?
Well, I've done 13 Ironmans and I've probably done 40 half Ironmans. And
so you look at these victories, man, and what you've done in business, what you've done in your personal life, how you give back to others. How has that adversity in your life led to these victories? If you could just give it to someone in a sniper strike.
How has the adversity led to the victories? Well, I think that for me, I always have had dreams. I think that dreams are really important. I've always had a vision of where I wanted to go in my life. And I think that for me, I had a belief that I wanted to achieve success in business. I wanted to get married and have a family. I didn't want to just be successful. I wanted to be a philanthropist. That was a goal that I had. I thought about that. So I had clear dreams. And even though I kind of veered off track, I had clear dreams. And even though I haven't achieved all of my goals, I think I've achieved a lot of them just because they were dreams of mine and I visualized what I wanted. And so having dreams, I think, are important. There's that saying by Les Brown, shoot for the moon, and even if you come up short, you'll land among the stars. And that's what I think, that's dreams are powerful. I also think that having people around you that encourage you to be your best is really important, and that helps you overcome adversity. So having a family network, whether it's your direct family or people like you, Jay, who help me when I need help, people that care about you and encourage you. So having a group of winners around you to support you is important. And for me, faith is important. Praying to God and having that connection with God is really important, especially when you're going through difficult times. And using your God-given talents, I think, is important, because that's something that will bring you joy in your life. And I may not be the best at everything, but I enjoy running. I enjoy biking, swimming, triathlons, sports. So doing the things that you love are things that are going to help you overcome adversity, because it takes your focus off the pain, off the challenge, and onto what you love. So, and I think service is important too. Service is something that, for me, it's really been, it just is such a great feeling when you're doing something for other people. It takes you out of yourself, and, we all get up in ourself and our problems and what's going on in our head, and giving back to others is something that is really therapeutic, and it just makes you feel good. So service to others is, I think, something else that helps you overcome adversity.
Man.
Well,
Coach D. Hey, Coach D, I want to let you know too, bro, that you're an adversity destroyer too. So let's just get the elephant out of the room, brother, and just let you know. Come on, man.
Adversity. I get breakfast. Well, put it on my lunch. Pull it on my lunch.
Come on, man.
Tim Maguire, the adversity destroyer, I would like to thank you very much for helping us inspire, create, and empower on the show today. You're an incredible guest. A couple of the takeaways that I'm going to leave this with was, in the beginning, you talked about when you have help and it's available, lean into it and be able to accept it early and often, because I think that is a blessing, and not all of us have the ability to have a helping hand when we need it the most. And it sounded like your family really, really cared about you. And whether it's your friends, your family, or acquaintances, there's usually somebody out there that wants to be a part of something better, and they believe in a better way. And I think that once you're able to let yourself receive that you can be vested in whatever it is that you're doing. And the second thing that I'd like to kind of touch upon is, man, you said to never stop dreaming, and you always had those dreams. And that's a big deal to me, because, man, I mean, when I ran into adversity to myself, I thought it was over. And I think a lot of people right now in the vested community think that just because things might have crumbled and didn't work out how they thought they would, that it's over. And you are a living testament to the idea that it's not. So I'd like to thank you for being on the show. I'd like to thank my boy Jamar and the lovely tech team. I love you both.
Yes.
And you know what, Jamar? I'm going to kick it over to you. Maybe you could tell them a few takeaways that you have. Everybody remember to like, subscribe, do all that fine. I always forget, so please don't forget. Hit the thing. Yes. And Jamar, holla.
Yeah.
A question,
man. Coach D, thank you, man. You know how much I love you, bro. And Tim, thank you, man, for your time. Especially you're on the East Coast right now, and it's almost 10 o'clock your time. So just thank you for investing time with us and the vested community. And you know how much love and respect I have for you. But, man, you said something today that we heard it so many times. I really want to highlight this last thing you said. You said, have a vision of where you want to go in life. And I think right now, this last 12, 15 months, it kind of skewed the vision of the masses, right? And so I just want to encourage our vested community. If there's any takeaway that you have today, have a vision of where you want to go in your life. And there's going to be adversity. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be setback. But having that clear vision was what's helping us move forward and keep on going. So, Coach D, man, that's just one I really want us to laser focus on, is having a vision of where we all want to go in our life. I'm gonna kick it back to Mom. What's up, Mom? Coach D, I don't know if you wanted anything else to say before I wrap it up.
Hey, man, listen, like I said, I'm grateful. And I think that with my approach towards being a belief strategist with people, I think that he's a perfect example of it. I mean, once you have become grateful for the things that you have, whether small or big, it gives you this energy to move to the next step. And then once you are onto that next step, you start taking things that aren't necessarily part of the quote unquote problem, but are part of the solution, and things that you want to move towards that are greater than the problem. And then the final ingredient is to believe that it's possible. And there were times, man, where it seemed like the growth process for you wasn't exactly the most comfortable thing. And when you're going through classes and when you're picking a group, and you really had to have faith in the strategy that it would work, when you didn't have any indication that it would, and you just kept going and plugging. I mean, you rifled off like, oh, I just made 90 calls on Monday, 90 calls on a Friday, and set up 12 appointments. That's what superstars do, dude. It's not an accident that you ended up selling your company for massive amounts. And yes, your dad laid the foundation, man, but you built the castle. So thank you for sharing with everybody. And Jamar, ask him a question, man.
Oh, come on. Hey, doesn't matter what you do right now, Vested community, however you want to shine your light, whatever you're going through, don't just go through it, grow through it, because adversity is leading us to victory. And whatever you're doing, here's the question. Are you vested?